Okay, first let's talk about James, because I've known James for, I don't know,
Maybe
14, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I joined Rotary before I actually started working at the Chamber, and so I think I met you at Rotary
I think that is where we met.
before we came together at the Chamber. So, yeah, long history. And like, I feel like I've grown up around you.
I know. Been through a lot over the last 14 or 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah, we have. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been awesome to watch how successful Gateway Bank has been.
The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
I mean, what year did you start the bank?
We opened the bank December 3rd of 07, so grown it from scratch, and now we're about $205 million.
Wow. Well, did you ever dream that it would get to that point?
I had hoped it would get there by the time I retired. It got there a lot sooner than I thought it would.
That's
So
good.
it's
That's
been
good for everybody.
Yeah, the community's been really, really good to us. So
Well, you're the only community bank, right?
we are the only one based in Mesa.
That's awesome. So talk about the difference between a bank and a community bank. I mean, there's big banks, and it's
Yeah.
not that they're bad, but you're
You know,
different.
So community banks are really those that are under $2 billion in assets, which is obviously still quite a bit larger than we are.
Mm-hmm.
But there's only 12 of us in the whole state.
Which does not seem like a lot for the size state.
one of the fewest number of community banks in the entire nation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really rough. The community banks are active in the community. We live, work, play here. Money stays here. Some of the larger banks during downturns will peel out of the market a little bit when it gets rough. The community banks won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed lending and active all the way through the 8, 9, 10 downturn, and obviously through COVID and everything we did with PPP, we stayed very busy. What we found though is when you treat the community well and you take care of them, they do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes sense.
it's worked really well.
Well, and for us, you've been engaged in the Chamber, obviously, in different ways over the years, but fortunately for us, over the last couple of years, you've really been engaged because we realized that we have a financial world that we should be talking about with our members and our community, and that's when we started first the Mesa Financial Network. Talk about what that is.
Yeah, the Mesa Financial Network is really going to be composed of all the banks of any size, as in credit unions as well. And we're really trying to attack issues and that affect not just Mesa, but really the whole country. So, we've touched on topics like how to bank businesses involved in the marijuana industry, how to how to deal with predatory lending, workforce issues, and some regulatory issues that we've discussed. So really, it's in part of it's brainstorming too in that group to put together a group from very small banks and credit unions to very large banks. We run the gamut of what we could discuss, and it gives us. Even though we have a lot different sizes of banks and credit unions, we all have about the same issues that we're trying to deal with. And when we had two senators that were both on the Banking and Finance Committee, it made sense to have their ear and their teams here and boots on the ground. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what we need help with.
Well, it has been a huge benefit to have those folks in attendance and to be able to take those concerns and problems and issues back to their leaders at that congressional level. What a blessing for us to have that access.
Well, and to have for this committee to have direct access to the senators and it has been, I don't even know how to. It's just the perfect time to have this committee and this group. So been really excited with some of the, it's been one of those dream big things. Some of the issues that, you don't think you can move the dial on, we can.
Yeah, well, it's that better together, right?
Absolutely.
Bigger voice. So out of that came another program of the Chamber, the Capital Opportunity Program.
Yeah, so we decided one committee wasn't enough, so we'd add one more. So come from Methodist background, so we have committees for our committees. Um, so the Capital Opportunity Program really was to reach out to the community, the chamber members, and I think sometimes it's overwhelming to think about the loan process and what it takes, and
Sure.
here's how I need to scale up my business, or here's where I need help with my financials. And it was really to have a lifeline at the chamber, to have those deals funnel through here. It's like, hey, I'm looking to grow my business, or I'm looking to consolidate some debt or make a move. Where do I start? I
Right.
start at the chamber.
Right.
And that's something that hadn't happened before, and really has been, I think, seen some pretty good response of folks that are like, hey, that, that takes some of the scariness out of this. And the chamber can learn where that company's at, what needs to happen. It's like, where's the right fit now? Is it with the
Right.
credit union? Is it with the bank? Is it with a large bank, a smaller bank? What's the right fit? So I think it really opens up all different kinds of financing. It also opens up all different kinds of consulting, and to get the ear and work directly with the CEO of a bank and say, hey, where am I at? And
Right.
I think most of them think they couldn't get that audience, and they can.
Well, I think for us, we're always hearing, different issues from people, members, non-members, and for us to be able to kind of, work them through the process and tell them that, we're here to help to get them prepared to go and meet with somebody at a bank, and take some of that scary uncertainty. And, we've also heard that people have had bad experiences with, that process, and to be able to do that has been good for us, good for our members, and hopefully, good for our bankers.
Well, and it's helped us, and I know we're not the only bank or credit union that's made changes to how we do business. But, we've gone, all the mystery of what's going to be required or requested, we put online now.
Oh,
And
good.
all the
Yeah.
related forms, so it's all there. And then we put on there, here's how the process works. We've put videos online that said, here's what it takes to talk to a bank. Here's what we need. Here's what we're looking for. And really, it gives a time frame as well. It's like,
Nice.
okay, it takes about this long, to go through the package, and then to get the loan closed, if it's a real estate or if it's equipment. So there's just all the mysteries being taken away.
It's all in preparation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can imagine, you probably experienced some people coming in and they have nothing with them, and kind of a waste of everybody's time at that point if they come in prepared.
Well, a lot, and it doesn't even have to be a new company. A lot of folks have bootstrapped their business from day one, and some make it further than others before they need financing or that next step. And really to put together a full set of financials and the rest of the package, most folks have a little difficulty with. So we really help with that process, and I think that's where the our folks involved in the Mesa Financial Network and other chamber members have worked really hard to work with these companies to make that process much smoother and much easier, and really not so intimidating that you can just come in and say, you know what, I know you asked for this, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
And we're like, okay, that, I'm used to 500 acronyms in banking. You're not.
Right.
Explain these to me.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand that.
Yeah, I understand that because I've sat in those Mesa Financial Network meetings, and when you all start talking in acronyms, I'm like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. So I can see that would happen on a daily basis. Who besides bankers should be involved in Mesa Financial Network?
Really, the credit unions need to be involved, but also, there's some fintechs in the community that make sense, and how those, how financial services are delivered. So really also folks in financial services, which would probably also include investments, would be a good fit. So really anybody that touches the financial spectrum would be a good fit for the Mesa Financial Network.
Super. Okay.
So, James, let's talk just real quick about maybe some of the businesses or some of the things here locally that we've been able to help through CapOp and Mesa Financial Network.
Yeah, so we've talked to several and had the ability to get involved with lending on some of them, and some folks that haven't had very good banking experiences in the past. And one that comes to mind right away is Friendly Auto. We worked on a package with them, and
And they were thrilled, by the way.
They're awesome. And they were really fun to work with. They're really excited and passionate about what they do. They run a great business. And I think it was really just some that fear and intimidation of dealing with a banker is difficult. If you've met me, you know that's probably not the case. So
You're terrifying, James.
I'm probably wearing jeans and Chucks, which I actually am right now. So, and really just here's what we need to do. Really, and that's really what a banker does is you listen. It's like, where are you at and what do you need? And what we find with a lot of companies is that have struggled with cash flow or other issues is a lot of times it's just the debt's structured wrong. And it's like, okay, this should be term, this should be a line of credit. This is how we handle this. You bootstrapped it. And that's how a lot of people start businesses, on credit cards and their own cash. And you outgrow your success, outgrows your company and your abilities. And that's where, hopefully a bank gets involved before that. So that's one of the things we've tried to do through the Mesa Financial Network and the Capital Opportunity Program, and really working with the folks at Green Flag, is to say, hey, come start talking to us when you're just even in that idea stage of here's what I want to do with my company, or here's what I want to do. And you get to start knowing your banker or your credit union representative, so you can start building that. And then as you grow into it, it's pretty easy. It's like, hey, you know what? I've hit my next level. I need to buy some more equipment. Okay, come see us. Here's what we're going to do. No problem. It fits the cash flow. So I think it's really, education and consulting is really a big piece of what we do.
It's almost like it's all connected together.
It is. It is.
So, James, let's kind of like somebody's listening to this podcast. Maybe they're like, "Oh, this really sounds like it's cool." Like, how do they get started?
Really the process on you're talking capital opportunity.
Yeah, capital opportunity, or maybe they're a business in Mesa that's in the financial world, and they're like, "Hey, this MFN thing seems cool. Like, what do I do?"
Really, at that point, you need to get a hold of someone at the chamber and just say, I want to get, really, could you add me to that committee?
That was a softball question.
Yes. Yeah. And always the answer, I think the answer to almost any question is call the chamber.
It's funny.
Call
Some
Sally.
people think that the answer to every question is to call the chamber, and you'd be surprised at some of the questions we get.
But it really is. I mean, you're going to talk to a friendly person, a friendly face, and whether you're looking to borrow $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million, we can direct you to the right person, and we can get you in front of the people you need to be in front of for that pitch, and help you put together a package that will make sense for a bank or credit union to look at.
So let's talk a little bit about Gateway real quick, because 12 years, 13 now, 12?
We opened up in 2007, so we're actually coming up on our 14th anniversary in December.
Okay. So, obviously you've gotten to where you are a little bit quicker than you expected. So what are you looking ahead? Like, where do you see Gateway going as a bank, as an institution?
It's right now we're in that process. You have to raise so much capital when you start, so you have way more capital than you need initially as a bank. And in 2020, 2021, we've now grown into our capital. So we've seen rapid growth in 20 and 21, and it was steady up until, it was strong 10, 12% every year until last year, and then it just skyrocketed. And that has continued into 21. So we've added 3 or 4 members to our team here already this year. We're looking to add maybe 3 or 4 more by the end of the year. And that's going to lead to some additional locations at some point.
There's where I was going.
So we're looking, whether that's a loan production office or a smaller scale, full branch, full service office, we're looking to do that. So really our focus has been primarily on the East Valley, but really spreading probably a little further west so that we can be a little more accessible to a few more people. Mm-hmm. But it's really, it's the, after COVID, one of the big changes that's happened is we've had so many folks, whether they're business development or operations people, want to work remote. So that's going to help us scale up a little bit without all the additional space. But really we've, I think now that we've been around 14 years, we've been involved in the community. Most people in the community know who we are. The first 5 years, it's like Gateway who? And, if you had access to us, depending on what circles you're in, you may have known who we are. But I think most people know who we are at this point, and that we are the hometown bank. and we're going to continue to serve Mesa. And obviously, there's a lot going on in downtown Mesa, and it most likely makes sense for us to have some kind of presence here.
Talk about where you're located, because not everybody knows maybe where you're located. And at this point, I think you're in the center of the universe right now.
Yeah, there's so much going on. So we're located at Power and Warner, and really we were surrounded by fields until fairly recently. After all these years, there's been a lot of growth come up around there, and now, you know, with all the growth at Gateway Airport, and that continued all the way through the 8, 9, 10 downturn, COVID. I mean, the whole area has just boomed, and if you haven't been there in several years, you wouldn't even recognize it. Well, that success has continued to push our direction on the other side of the 202. And so now we have quite a few industrial projects that are going up across from the bank. We have the new Cannon Beach. Literally, you walk out our front door and you walk over into it. So they've began construction 3 or 4 weeks ago over there. So that's really changed the makeup of where we're at. So hopefully at some point they finish off Warner, that little quarter of a mile right there, and that'll really increase the traffic. So, I mean, initially people were like, "Man, you're a long ways out here," and now
you used to be.
we're just kind of right in the middle of where everything's going on. So it's really exciting.
It is. So, website address?
Our website address is www.gcbaz.com.
Okay.
And our phone number is 480-358-1000.
And you're on social media, and you get, if people want to sign up for your newsletter, I mean, because I think you've got some great email blasts that come out. How did they sign up? Through your website?
They can, actually that, or they can even email me. Can I give my email address?
Of course.
All right. My email address is jamesc@gcbaz.com, and would be happy to add you to the newsletter. We are not your typical bank newsletter, so we do talk about our new staff and team as we're continuing to grow, but really we try to tackle some pretty heady issues, and you know, we think as the hometown community bank, it's our job to do that. So
be part of the community.
So yeah, we do have fun. If there's issues going on that need to be addressed in Mesa, we're going to tackle it.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of fantastic. I had sent these guys a list of about 8 or 10 different topics that we kind of want to talk about in future episodes.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to have you guys back together.
Welcome back.
And do the duo show and talk about some of these things. So, James, thanks so much for being a part of today's show. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the Chamber. You've been a supporter of the Chamber since you opened, and it's just so much fun to have you as a partner in everything that we do. I can't even begin to tell you how fun it is. Oh,
thank you so much. And really, our Chamber membership, we've been involved since, I think we signed up actually before we opened our doors retail, and it is really it's been great for us. The connections we've been able to make in Mesa and the depth at which we've been in Mesa is amazing.
Well, it's a partnership that we're very proud of.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'd say goodbye, Sally, but we're gonna host another podcast.
Yeah, it's okay.
Soon.
All good.
So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in for this episode of the Inside Business Podcast. I don't have to do the end because the end is already scripted.
There you go.
By the voice of Mesa. So
yes.
I hope everybody has a great rest of whatever today is for you, and go back, listen to some of those old episodes. Lots to listen to, and look forward to the next episode that we put out here fairly soon. Everybody have a great day.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.